No matter where you come from, no matter where you're going, here's a place where you can take comfort in the knowing that whether if you've come to stay a while or just passing through, this door is open to you. Come and let's be silent. Come and share a hug. Come, let's pray together. Come, love and be loved. From the blissed out to the turned out, from the pampered to the abused, this door is open to you. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. The God in us recognizes the God in you. The God in you. Whether you're black or white, gay or straight, Christian, Buddhist or Jew, this door is open to you.
Good morning. This door is open to you. We just joined with our live streamers, and we want to take this opportunity to welcome you into the building this rainy morning, but welcome this beautiful in its own way. My name is Darlene Strickland. I'm the senior minister here, and we always begin our time together in prayer. I invite you to turn your awareness within. We just take this opportunity to close our eyes and enter into the awareness of our own being. We allow ourselves to fully arrive and to give thanks for this day. We open our hearts, our minds. We set our intention to be fully present to that which is for us today, to give and to receive, how that we may be blessed and how we may be a blessing, for this opportunity to explore what it is to be more intentional in our living, to take action in the areas that we're called to act, in ways that we're called to be. For this time together, may we be blessed and may we be a blessing. Thank you, God, and so it is. Amen. So good to see your beautiful faces this morning. I'm going to ask you to stand as Miss Cat Williams comes and joins us. We're going to open in a congregational song that says, I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. 'Cause I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Yes, I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Yeah, our soul is welcome here. Would you please take this opportunity to turn and welcome those around you with a hug, a handshake, a namaste, acknowledgement. Welcome to the love, to the light that is unity of the Blue Ridge. We also take this opportunity to wave at those who are joining us virtually. Welcome you, wherever you are, whenever you are.
Put your hands together. I am alive with the Spirit of God. I am alive with the Spirit of God. I am alive with the Spirit of God. I am alive. Spirit of God. I am alive now, alive with the Spirit of God.
At peace.
I am at peace with the Spirit of God. I am at peace with the Spirit of God. I am at peace with the Spirit of God. I am at peace with the Spirit of God. I am at peace now, at peace with the Spirit of God.
Play it, Richard. Yeah, Richard Schulman. Play it, Dave De La Rosa. Set free.
I am set free with the Spirit of God. I am set free with the Spirit of God. I am set free with the Spirit of God. I am set free with the Spirit of God. I am set free now, set free with the Spirit of God.
I'm alive.
I am alive with the Spirit of God. 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 I am alive now, alive with the Spirit of God. I am alive now, alive with the Spirit of
We're so thankful you are alive with the Spirit of God. Cat Williams and this amazing Unity Band, would you show them our love and appreciation? Dave, Richard, Joel, Pete, and Joey. We are so thankful for each and every one of you today. If you've not yet sent your cell phone into the silence, we ask that you would turn it off or put it on airplane mode. That helps things around here. We want to acknowledge our youth program and our youth workers. We have a program for children nursery, little ones nursery, all the way through teens. And some of them are already in the back, but those that are here and are making their way over to join with Megan, Barbara Ann, and Jessica today, or actually Gabby. Megan's going to stay with us today. As they head over, we affirm this blessing to each and every one of them that's right here. Would you join us? To our youth, we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the divinity in you. Have a wonderful Sunday school experience today. Just an announcement, yeah. Next Sunday, the youth, the younger ones, are going to have an experience. Mary Kay Williams, who often sings with us, she's also a professional artist in the drawing way. She travels all over, even on cruise ships, singing, but also drawing caricatures. So she's going to be with our young people next week, drawing their pictures and talking to them about that technique. So if you've got some little ones, you may want to bring that next week to enjoy. You also may want to bring yourself and a friend, because the one and only Daniel Namod is going to be with us next Sunday. It's just a beautiful, powerful experience. After the service next Sunday at 12:30 p.m., he'll be here in concert. If you've ever experienced Daniel, he's just such a powerful singer, creator, but when he puts on a concert, he just shares so much of himself. So I invite you to be here. You can bring your lunch and just enjoy that on the grounds or somewhere between the service and the concert again at 12:30. Also next Wednesday night, coming up this week, I'm going to be offering a class that's titled, God is, I am, therefore I can. And so we're going to be talking about what that means together, 6:30 Wednesday night. And last but certainly not least, if you have not yet picked up your banquet ticket, if you've been a volunteer, or if you get under the wire and volunteer today, we've got volunteer tickets for you for a wonderful banquet. We're going to be having food and refreshments. Not food, a big meal by our very own, where's Deb Viteri? I think I saw her here. Deb and a whole crew are going to be catering a nice meal. And the Sarah Core Duo will be providing some entertainment for you. So it's going to be a wonderful night, Friday night. So we want to thank each and every one of you for being here. Today we're so blessed to have Meagan Gosiewski. Meagan is one of our incredible members, but she's also a minister. She completed her ministry after taking time to get married and have children. How many of you ever took time to have a family? And then while you're still doing that, she was led back into seminary and just recently completed and has been working with us in our youth program, and she's going to be sharing some today. So I want to go ahead and welcome Meagan Gosiewski. Yeah. So today she'll be completing the May series that is based on the book, This Life is Yours. It comes from the ideas in the book, This Life is Yours by Linda Martella Whitsitt. And today it's about the impact of intentional action. So there's a question I have for you, and that is, are you living by intention or existing by default? And probably the most accurate way to say that is what parts, how in my life am I living by intention? And what parts, how in my life am I existing by default? Because we all tend to have some of both of those. There's a lot of power to be revealed in that if you consider the word, the concept, the definition of default. In this day and age, a technology age, all of us are familiar with the default setting. Amen? You ever bought an appliance and couldn't get it beyond the default setting? Every time the electricity goes out, my microwave goes back to the default settings. I have to reestablish what I want other than the automatic default. We're familiar with that definition of default, but we may not be as familiar with the definition that says default is neglect, failure to take part in or to complete, such as loss due to not showing up. They lost the game by default. So when we think about that and ask ourselves the question, where am I living by default? And where am I existing? Or where am I living by design? And where am I existing by default? Are there areas of my life where I'm not yet fully showing up? That's what Meagan is going to explore with us today. This week when I was thinking about that, these words flowed. Intention without action is just a wish or even a wasted idea. Action without intention is just lots of motion and just passing time. But intention with action, that's magic. It unleashes the energy of all creation. Today we're going to explore that, the impact of intentional action. And first, Cat Williams with a song by, who are you singing now, Cat? What Would Love Do Now by the one and only Eddie Watkins Jr., Cat Williams.
Just before you say something you can't take away, take a breath and let it out. Try to think about what would love do now. Wondering if you should cross the line for good. Whatever you decide, ask yourself from inside, what would love do now? Whether right or wrong, doesn't matter how long, did your heart decide with you from inside? I know in the end you'll know what's real inside. Whether right or wrong, Doesn't matter just how long. As you let your heart decide, ask yourself from inside, what will love do now? Everything is either an act of love or a cry for love. That's why for love we die for love. In the end, that's all we know is real, whether right or wrong. Doesn't matter just how long. As you let your heart decide, ask yourself from inside, what would love do now? Everything is either an act of love or a cry for love. That's why for love we die for love. In the end, that's all we know is real, whether right or wrong. Doesn't matter how long. As you let your heart decide, and you know from deep inside, what will love do now? What will love do now? What would love do now?
Cat Williams and our Unity Band, what would love do now? Thank you so much. They'll be back soon. Reverend Meagan Gosiewski.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. First, I'm just going to go on and get the awkwardness out of the way. So yesterday, I hurt my hip, so I'm going to be limping a little bit, and I'm going to tell you that I ran a marathon, but it was really a marathon at the grocery store. I don't know what I did. I don't know what I did. I had a long marathon grocery store shopping event, so something happened, and so you might see a little limp, and I had cute shoes planned out today. I'm like, no, none of that's going to happen. So anyway, just to get that out of the way before we get started. So thank you for having me, my beautiful Unity family. I'm so grateful to be back. For those of you who know me, I've recently taken a position on the other side of this wall. I'm with the kids in the back, our young children, and our older kids in the back. So technically, I'm working with 6th through 12th grade right now. So what we call the Uniteen, which is middle school, and YOU, which stands for Youth of Unity. And so that's the teen program. And so I've been, oh, thank you. And I live with that in my house as well. So I have a Uniteen and a YOU right now. But I wanted to just tell you a few things about what's going on the other side of this wall, because you may not get all the updates of the exciting stuff we're doing. And so I'm just going to step up on my soapbox right here for a moment and brag about them. First of all, I want to say you probably noticed that the future of Unity, especially at Unity of the Blue Ridge, is pretty much male. We have a lot of boy energy going on over there. Occasionally we'll get a sprinkling of girl, but it is all straight on boy. So we've had to really prepare our program for what can we do to keep them occupied. We've been doing a lot of treasure mapping and treasure hunting and all kinds of things to keep them outside and moving. So it's been fun. It's been work. I have to go home and take a nap. I'm not going to lie. But it's been good. And we are doing the first Sunday of the month, which is next weekend, you'll see something that we call Sanctuary Sunday, where the Unitine and the YOU programs are here. You may have noticed that. They're coming in once a month. And the idea is that they get used to being part of the congregation, because as they get older, one day they will be. The other part of that is they'll be volunteering, and we may even have some people reading, some of our youth reading, and doing the reading in the morning. We want them to feel like they're a part of you as you are a part of them, because we're all one. That's the whole teaching of unity. So, you're clapping for them because they're awesome. We are also, just a couple other quick things. We've raised enough money because of your support. We've raised enough money to pretty much take any youth that wants to go to Florida for the Regional Unity Conference in the fall. All the youth from the Southeast come down to Florida, and we have an explosive weekend, and probably will be explosive, with lots of kids, especially with all boys in a car for like 8 hours, you know? But we're going to do that, and you guys have supported that with our fundraisers, and just your prayer and your support is so greatly appreciated. I'm so grateful for this community and for supporting our youth. And then the very last thing we're going to do for a fall kickoff, we're going to do a lock-in here at the church. Wish us luck. We're going to spend the night here. We're going to wake up in the morning. It's the first Sunday in August, and we're going to treat you all to some muffins and some coffee and things like that we're going to bake. Hopefully there'll still be a church. There'll be no fire. Pray for that, please. But yeah, it's exciting, and our youth is vibrant, and they are so into this teaching. It is amazing to watch the things click when they talk about they're praying for each other in the back. We hold each other accountable for our prayers. So we're each saying, what do you want us to pray for this week? That's part of our Sunday morning ritual, and we talk about it. One of our kids did a piano recital. We all prayed for him for the whole week. So exciting. So hold them in your consciousness as we hold ourselves together. So thank you. Okay, I'm going to come back down off my soapbox, and we're going to get into what we're here for today. So, I will say, I have been single momming it this whole week, just to throw that out there. So, my husband, my spouse of 16 years, decided to go on a pilgrimage to Peru. And I'm super excited because he's horseback riding and spending the night on the side of a mountain and doing all these amazing things. He's working with some of the indigenous peoples of the Andes. They're having spiritual healings, and they're having authentic Andean, or the tribe is called the Caro tribe. So he's eating traditional Caro. He had a guinea pig last night, apparently. Not for me, but it is very sacred for them. So he is gone. Normally, my spouse is my sounding board when I do these talks. I'll say, oh, hey, I want to talk about this. And he's very authentically Polish. So if you know anything about Eastern European culture, what you see is what you get. They have no filter. They're like, no, don't do that. No. So I don't have that this week. So we're going to go with what I've come up with. This is truly me today. So hopefully you won't see any of Michael in here. But if I do start babbling or drooling a little bit, it's because I'm exhausted. But I will say, this talk has kept me focused this week, and so I've been so grateful to have it, and it's been so fun to put it together. So I got a text from Reverend Darlene that said that she wanted me to complete the talk of May, which was about intentional action today. And specifically, her words were, I copied your text, how our actions are either a reinforcement of our sense of wholeness or sense of separation. How is what you are doing connecting you to the divine or separating you? Really, that comes down to, how am I being in the world? Which is a really big question. How am I being? It's like, that puts a lot of responsibility, but it also puts so much intention and purpose and love in what you are doing every day. So we're going to dive into how our actions can be intentional and how we can live an intentional, fulfilled life. So first I want to say, I always, whenever I'm given a talk, especially when Darlene says, here's the topic, I go and pull out all my sacred books. I pull out, Science of Mind, and I pull out the Bible, and I pull out, anything by the great authors and mystics, and then I usually end up at Google, because that's just how it happens. And so I Googled intentional action, like just what's there. And with intentional action, there is an entire movement, I had no idea, of intentional living. There's an entire movement. You can go onto the web and connect in with all these communities that are living an intentional life, which made me think, am I truly living an intentional life? That's a big question to ask yourself. Is your life filled with intention? I think the greatest story, and I'm going to brag about you a little bit, Reverend Darlene. I hope I get all my facts right, but intentional life. So immediately Reverend Darlene came. So those of you who don't know Reverend Darlene, as much outside of just the sage on the stage that we see every Sunday, sage on the stage, her life was filled with the American dream before she started her ministerial pursuit. She had this amazing job working for a toy company. Correct me if I get any of this wrong. She was working for this toy company. She was getting to travel, have these great dinners, meet all these people, go to these functions, selling a really fascinating thing, toys. I mean, who doesn't love toys? She was living this American dream, making great money, 401k, lots of health benefits and all kinds of time off and all this stuff. But yet, something deeper was calling her. Because even though she was living the American dream, the illusion that we call the American dream, the intention, what was she doing? What was her purpose? So she packed it up, left her job, and moved all the way across the country to Kansas City, which is where Unity is, and she studied her ministerial class. Now, you can imagine that there were people in her life that were like, what are you doing? You're giving all this up to get in your little car and drive across the country and not have a job and study for how many years? And then you may or may not have a job when you're done. But here she sits. And we're all so grateful for that. That's called an intentional life. That's called an intentional life. Anyone here familiar with the law of attraction? Okay, so I'm gonna out myself a little bit. I watch TikTok. Don't tell my kids, although they probably know. But there is an entire movement on TikTok of law of attraction style music by the millennials and the Gen Zers, especially women. They are really into this style of music about singing about I don't chase, I attract, the universe has got my back. That's one of the lyrics from one of the songs I'm always listening to. There is a whole movement of law of attraction right now. So it's a buzzword. We thought it was super cool in like 20 years ago when The Secret came out. You remember that movie? And we thought, we're finally here. Now it's on TikTok and it's like everyday language. These young kids are talking about this, something that we still kind of work to try to get to. It's just in them. It's just in them. And it probably was in us at some point, very deeply. But the idea of law of attraction, for those of you who don't know, is your thoughts, your actions, your intention, what you put out, you attract. And there's a 3-step simple process to the law of attraction you may have heard. There's intention, which is what we've talked about. Attention, putting your thoughts towards your intention. And then the last step is no tension. And so we'll talk about each of those. First, remember I talked about the website that had all the cool stuff? They give tips on how to do an intentional life. Like, how can I create it? Starting today, what can I do to say, all right, I'm going to start living my intention actively in the world? The first thing they say is tune out the noise. Reverend Darlene probably did not listen to those voices, right? She still got in her car and drove across the country. What is the news telling you? What is your family or friends telling you? The good thing about Unity is we're probably all communicating positive good, like, you can do it, you can do it. That's why we're all here, right? But when we leave here, we may not get that message. So we got to tune that out. We have to turn away from the messages that are telling us we are separate and that there's so much strife and anger and confusion in the world right now. We have to turn away from that, because when we do, we start turning towards the wholeness of the divine. We start turning towards God, and we start seeing everyone as a reflection of that. That's the first step. The second one, just start identifying your values. What do you want your intention to be? Do you want it to be peace? That's a great one, starting with yourself. Peace within becomes peace without. Love. What is your value? And what do you want to reflect? And then, the picture, did it come up? Okay. Oh, yeah, there we go. So those of you who were here back in January, we did a vision board. And it was a big class. There were probably 30-something people that were in that room that day, and we all put together vision boards. So this is mine. I wasn't able to finish because I was yakking the whole time. I definitely have the gift of gab, so I was just walking around talking. But I went home and finished mine, and this is mine. And so you can't really see everything, but in the upper right-hand corner it says spiritually sound. That's kind of my idea. I want to be spiritually whole. I've got some travel in here. I have my garden, which is I call that my gardening therapy. If I did not have my garden, I would probably really be crazy, but that grounds me. It's one of my hobbies that I love. And in the middle, I have words that remind me, like, I'm blessed. What does that say? Protect the vulnerable. That's something that's very important to me. I have a background in social work. So that's it, my treasure map. I see that every day. I put it in a place where I can see it, and it helps me every day to remember my intention. Thank you. Let's move into the next piece. The next piece is about attention. So we have set our intention. What do we want to do? It may be you want to attract a new partner. You may want to find a new job. You may be looking to relocate, whatever it is, health. All those things can be part of your intention. And the beauty is, as you move through the journey of life, your intention, the core of your values won't change, but the intention may change. You may have a different intention as you come into different areas and chapters of your life. But you have to pay attention to the intention. So what are you thinking right now? Are you paying attention? How are you feeling sitting in your chair? Are you comfortable? Are you itchy? What's the thought that permeates your day? Is it positive or is it negative? That is attention. Anybody here a Thich Nhat Hanh? Let me say this one more time. Thich Nhat Hanh fan? There we go. I got it out. Yes. Yes. I have my stepmother a few years ago got me a t-shirt that says wake up, because that was his big slogan. He always said, wake up. You have to wake up. Pay attention. He was the father of what they call, one of the fathers of mindfulness, which is about paying attention. And as a psychotherapist, that's part of what I do is I work a lot with mindfulness. John Kabat-Zinn, many of you may have read some of his books. The idea is that you pay attention to what you're doing. So if you're preparing a meal, you're smelling the herbs. You're giving thanks for the meat. Maybe you can see the sunlight coming through the window. Those are things you do to pay attention. What is going on in that moment? And that is exactly what Thich Nhat Hanh talked about. Wake up. Be attentive to what you are thinking, because that helps you set your attention. So if you don't know much about Thich Nhat Hanh, I'm going to tell you a little bit, because he would have fit right in with this crowd, let me tell you. Did you know he was kicked out of his home country for 40 years? For those of you who don't know much about the Vietnam War, and it was just, we're going into a history lesson. Vietnam during the war was split into two factions, the North being the communists, the South being what at the time was, and I actually learned this doing my research on him, was Catholic. They had a very Catholic-style government. And he did not fit into either one of those because he was Buddhist. And of course, he was talking about bringing the Buddhist traditions back together, and he was trying to get unification of all the Buddhist temples and peoples. And the Catholic faith government at the time said, we're not going to have that. And so they kicked him out. And the North didn't want him back and their side because they felt that he was riling up the diaspora because he was traveling all over the world talking about peace. How dare he? How dare he talk about peace? So he did that. He was doing these things and he was riling people up. He was waking them up. He was brilliant. He had a Fulbright scholarship. He was very good friends with Martin Luther King Jr. In fact, it is said that he was the reason Martin Luther King Jr. spoke out about the war, spoke out against the Vietnam War. And as we all know, just a very short time later, his life was taken from him. Thich Nhat Hanh. One of the other things I'll say, and then I'm going to move on to the next bit, was during the time, the 40 years, he was told he had to leave his country. He traveled all over the world teaching peace by writing, by meditating, by being a poet, by being a teacher. He founded the largest Buddhist monastery in the world, or in Europe, I should say, in France specifically. It's called Plum Village. He did all of these things because he was paying attention to what his message was, and his message was peace. He was allowed to come back into his home country for a short visit in 2005, and then he had to leave again. And then finally in 2018, he went home for the last time, and he passed away last year. So I would just encourage you to wake up. Wake up. Listen to that voice inside of yourself that's begging you to wake up. Now let's move into the last piece of no tension. That sounds so bizarre, doesn't it? A life with no tension? When I decided to be a mom, my intention was, when my husband and I got married, we were talking about, or right before we got married, it was that whole, we were fiancés, and what are we going to do, and how is our life going to look, and blah, blah, blah. And I said, I want kids. And he said, what? You want what? Because we had been traveling. We dated for a very long time. My spouse and I have been in each other's lives for about 25 years, and we got married probably about 7 or 8 years after that. I guess 9 years if you do the math. Anyway, we'd been around for a while, and we'd traveled, we had done all these things, and he just had never pictured kids. Like, why would we do that? But he came around because he wanted to marry me, and it was it. Like, we were going to have it. Well, we couldn't have our own children, so we adopted. But the idea was, I set my intention. I was going to be a mom one way or the other. That was my intention, and I paid attention. And now we get to the last piece of no tension. For those of you who have children or have worked with children or even no children, there is not no tension. So when I was looking at this, I was looking through my mom lens because there was loudness going on in the back, because Michael is usually the disciplinarian. So he's like, you kids, be quiet. And I'm kind of doing my thing. And it was me in the back room trying to study, thinking, how is no tension working in my life? Well, I had to do some prayer around that and some meditation to get clear. And I'm like, what are you trying to tell me right now? And I got very clear. No tension doesn't mean that you will never have tension. It means that when you are living your intention, all those things like that don't really matter as much. Yeah, the kids are screaming. Just, they'll figure it out. As long as nothing's on fire or nobody's dying, it's going to be okay. That's the idea of no tension, is that when you are living your divine intention on this world, that those kind of things just don't aggravate you as much. You have less tension. It's not airy-fairy pie in the sky. We're never going to have that. Life is life. It is a roller coaster. Sometimes it's really good, and sometimes we're mucking through it. That's what it's called to be human. As we live our intention, the highs may not be so interesting anymore, and the lows, we don't really want to go there. So the roller coaster seems to be a little bit less. Still fun, but just not as intense. So no tension. I encourage you with no tension to think about what is aggravating you in your life right now and how can you work with your intention and your attention to let all that stuff go and just be fully present, knowing you're one with God, you're one with the divine, you're one with everyone here around you. I will finish by saying, oh, actually, there was one more thing. The law of attraction. When you get to the final piece of no tension, you are according to the formula they have, when you've set your intention, paid attention, and you're in no tension, you are receiving. That's the idea of the law of attraction. When you've put all your work into it, whatever it is that you wish to seek, by the time you get to no tension, you're just there. You're in no tension. You are receiving. And in Matthew 17:20, Jesus says, if you have the faith, even as small as a mustard seed, nothing is impossible for you. Think about how small that seed is. If you have just that faith, nothing is impossible. So set your intention, pay attention, and live in the receiving bit. There'll still be some tension, sorry folks, but live in your receiving bit and it's gonna be okay because life is so worth it to live in your intention. So be big. Richard, I'm finishing a little early today because we're gonna do something right after this. But I'm gonna pull Richard up and I'm gonna challenge you. I'm gonna challenge you to pay attention. And how I mean that is as I mentioned earlier, we live in a world right now that is, as they like to say, is very divided. We live in a country that they like to say is very divided. But I don't wish to see that. Sometimes I love the saying, sometimes you just got to look reality in the face and deny it. Just deny it. That's not my reality. Another one that I love is, I heard there was a recession potentially about to happen, but I'm not going to participate. I'm going to pay attention to other things. I'm not going to pay attention to all that. Turn your back from the separateness. Turn your back from all that stuff that's telling you we are divided and put your attention on wholeness because we can be whole. We can be unified. We already are. We just have to remember. So remember that you are one. Remember that person who may have a bumper sticker that doesn't really appeal to you, they are one too. And as we remember our oneness, they will remember their oneness. That is your challenge for this week. So let's bring this in to our meditation. I'm remembering for all of us here that there is one power, one strength, one God. And I am calling upon each of us to remember our oneness, to remember our intention, so that our thoughts, our words, our actions all glorify the divine. We all remember that we are one. By setting our intention and paying attention, we are in the receptive mode of receiving all of the gifts that are ours, our divine birthright. May my words glorify you. May my thoughts and actions glorify you, dear God. May my emotions be filled with love for you and for my spiritual family here on this earth. I thank you. I am grateful. we are one. And so it is. Amen.
Thank you, Rev Meagan. Would you direct your hands to her and let's extend that blessing that says, we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the divinity in you. To Reverend Meagan, we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the divinity in you. Thank you so much. Yeah. Michael would be very proud. He would say, yes. Richard, would you give me that song again? So next month is going to be an exciting and interesting month. Reverend Christy is celebrating two things. Number one, a birthday. So we'll get to celebrate that. But number two, we're going to be creating a retreadment party for her. Now, if you know what that is, it's not retirement, but it kind of looks like retirement. She is reaching a point and has shared with me, I've been witnessing her on the spiritual journey, and she said, it's time for me to step down from full-time church ministry and open up to my next phase of living and playing and spiritual expression and however that looks. Now, I have to confess, about 2 years ago, my partner asked me, she said, what would you ever do if Christy left? And without skipping a beat, I said, I'd just leave too. Be careful what you say, because it's not my time. But as I shared last Sunday, in my first ministry, I'll never forget when I heard the call that said, in the midst of everything going right, you are now complete. And so I realized that for her, the most important thing we want you to know is there's nothing wrong. It's just in the midst of everything going right and what has been, this phase is soon going to be complete. And so on the third Sunday in June, June 18th, she's going to be speaking, and we're going to have a little party after the service with some cake. She's still very much going to be a part of our community as time goes on, but I want you to share with them today whatever you want to share for your heart. And then again, mark your calendars, June 18th, we definitely want to celebrate.
I know that's the thing I said. I didn't want to get up here and ugly cry. But I've been doing that. And, you know, it is the intention. And that is so much part of the wholeness. And the attention and paying attention. Not so much being unconsciously going wherever your thoughts are going, but to stay in your heart space. And so I reached that place where I'm in my heart space. And I have a lot of options before me, and I know that I am being led, you know, to my greater yet to be, my next expression of ministry, however that unfolds. Like I said, I've got a lot of things before me, and I'm creating the space to receive, to serve. You know, every day I ask the question, okay, here comes the ugly cry. So every day, I ask the question, yeah, there go the tissues, how can I serve? And if you follow your heart, you will be given the world. Because when you're living your divine purpose, that's where the magic is. It's been an absolute honor. Damn it. It's been an absolute honor to serve this community. You know, church ministry has been part of my life for like 20 years. You know, and it's morphed into something new and then old. Then it morphed into something new. And now there is a passing and a deeper calling. There's a song by Jamie Lula that says, something's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. And so I'm creating this space in my life to follow my heart, continue to serve, and experience so much more. You know, and remember that God is in the midst no matter what changes you're going through. And if something's calling you, have the faith, even if it's the size of a mustard seed, to take that intentional action, and that's what I'm doing. It's been an honor to serve this community. I've poured my heart and soul into this community. Yeah. And I intentionally did not wear mascara today or eyeliner, just a little lipstick. So again, it's been my honor, and you have not seen the last of me yet, and this community is in good hands. I am so grateful to you for the opportunity to serve, for you to allow me to move into this phase of ministry for me and support me in that and love me through that. And you haven't seen the last of me. Sorry, folks. No. You haven't seen the last of me. Come support me on the 18th. I'll be around. I will continue to stay in love with you and continue to serve in my new way. And yeah, I love you. Thank you.
Don't make me cry again. So every ending is a beginning. And so we're in that period of bittersweet. You know, it's just part of life. It's what life is. But we know that. And so stay tuned for how it unfolds here. But first things first, we've got some celebrating to do. I discovered a new word, and I don't speak Spanish well enough to try this without embarrassing myself and anyone else that can speak Spanish. But the root of the word retirement in Spanish is the same root of the word jubilation. And so you're getting ready to have your jubilation. And so we celebrate that for you. So we're going to just, Richard, would you give us that song again? This song that says, I breathe in, I breathe out. I breathe in, and I breathe out, and I take in, and I give out, and I give out. I let love, and I let love, and I let go, and I let go. And I release, and I know, now you got it. So I breathe in, and I breathe out, and I take in, and I give out, and I let love, release, and I know. We're going to celebrate you, and we're going to celebrate each and every one. Thank you so much, Rev. Christie. I'm going to ask our prayer chaplains and our ushers to come forward. Every Sunday, one of our prayer chaplains, they bring forward this prayer box, and it reminds us that prayer is the foundation of unity, of all of unity, and certainly of our unity ministry as well. So Diane Swift today is our prayer chaplain. She brings this wooden box forward. It's normally back on the table in the area with that beautiful tapestry. You can put a written prayer request in, and we hold that in confidential prayer. We also send it to Silent Unity, where it's held in confidential prayer for another 30 days. After the service, if you'd like prayer with one of our prayer chaplains, they're available. We point back to this way. As Megan said, on the other side of the wall, there's a place for our prayer chaplains to pray with you if you'd like to take that opportunity. And then our ushers. Our ushers are here and remind us that we get to practice our generosity, that it is we who create the sustenance for the spiritual community. And so as you prepare your gift of tithe and of love offering, we hold those gifts and we bless those together with this affirmation that says, divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, all that I receive, and all that I am. I am now in perfect balance and flow with the universal tides of giving and receiving. Thank you, God, and so it is. Yes. Cat Williams is going to share some Daniel Nahmod music with us. No, this is not Daniel Nahmod. Jars of Clay. She already sang the Daniel Nahmod as her first song. Oh, thank you, Kat, and this beautiful band. Thank you, Rev Meagan, Rev Christy, and thanks to each and every one of you for being here. Would you turn and welcome to our live streamers and just say thank you for being here? And we usually do this at the top of the service, but if this is your first time today, if you just raise your hand, we'll acknowledge you as being here for the first time. We have one over here. We have one right here. And I see some of you managed to get your hearts despite my forgetting to acknowledge you're being here for the... There's just nothing like keeping our ushers on their toes of just mixing it up. So if you raise your hand or Unity folks lovingly point, we want to welcome you and thank you for being here and look forward to seeing you again. We bring this service and this time together and close by singing the peace song. Would you please join, stand, and let there be peace on earth. Let it begin with God's love in our heart. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be, with God as creator. Brothers and sisters are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every breath I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment, peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. You sound beautiful. Yes.